Hello everyone and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Cal and this is the post-match reaction to Aston Villa 3, Everton 0 at Villa Park. Really tough one to take. I feel like can't really pin this on the manager as such. There's a lot of factors going into today's game. The obvious one was of course the team news an hour before kickoff. No Jordan Pickford, no Seamus Coleman, no Richarlison. No Calvert-Lewin, as we already knew, but it was a bit of a surprise and a bit of a shock to everyone to see a lot of our key men absent. So for a game which I think we were quite optimistic going into, given our encouraging start, that soon turned into a bit of pessimism, if you like, after seeing that lineup get announced. But I feel like we know how hard this team can work, as we've seen. We still had some key men like Damari Gray, Andros Townsend, Doucouré, so there are players which can have a positive influence on the game, but nonetheless, it was a really negative result today. It was a game in which Salomon Rondon had his first start for the Blues, playing up front. We'll get onto him in a short while, but yeah, Asmir Begovic started in between the sticks. He played a back three of Michael Keane, Ben Godfrey and Yerry Mina. And for the first half, I thought Everton did quite well, to be fair. We matched them. It was a very even game. Chances for both sides. Rondon had the chance early on as well. Asmir Begovic pulled off a tremendous save from a set piece. And in the first half, it looked very much like it was a level playing field, really. Of course, the worry always was that you looked at our bench and the only real players on our bench who have significant first team experience, really. You're looking at Andre Gomez and Mason Holgate. I suppose there's an argument there for John Joe Kenny, but he's just not good enough in my eyes. And we got found out today that at the end of the day. I thought we matched Villa in the first half. It was end to end. Both chances for both sides, as I mentioned before. The Begovic save. Rondon had a good chance quite early on. And the team worked hard. Again, we saw examples of that teamwork. We worked hard as a team. The players seemed to be on the same wavelength, and we were trying to make things work. And if we had that focal point in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, things could have been different. But we went in half time. It was 0-0, an open game, and I think I would have been happy with the point at this stage. I think away at Villa, given the injury situation, I think a point would have been a good result. A win would have been fantastic, obviously, but I was prepared to settle for a point. And then second half, we spoke on Monday about how that 6-7 minutes where we scored and then Burnley completely fell to pieces and we ran away with the game, and the exact same thing happened to us today. And of course, Matty Cash, you've got to ask questions of Luca Dean today for me. It was a poor performance from Dean. Individual errors, for the first one, Cash turned him for the first goal. To be fair, it was a great strike from Matty Cash. Of course, it was his first goal for the club, and it was inevitable that it was going to be against us. Matty Cash, 1-0, and then it just seemed from that point onwards that Everton just completely fell to bits. They bring Leon Bailey on, of course, a player who we are very familiar with, given our links with him in the transfer market. He comes on for Aston Villa, and he whips for the second one. He whips in a corner. And it just comes off the back of Dean's head, loops over Begovic, and it's 2-0. And at that point, it's game over. And then the third one, I thought was a really poor goal to give away. Leon Bailey, he's showcasing why he's a great player. His ability through on goal, he was never going to miss. He had so much time and space, which is a big concern for me. Godfrey left him with far too much space. And he just runs through and he goes for power, and Begovic isn't stopping it. And it was, Leon Bailey came on and essentially he dominated us, essentially, didn't he? And then he goes off injured, and that's that. He got man of the match. He was on for couldn't have been on for more than 15 minutes most, and he completely ruined us, and it was inevitable again, really, wasn't it? Individuals displays. I mentioned Luca Dean there, really poor performance from the Frenchman. I didn't think he played too well against Burnley last week either, if I'm being perfectly honest, and this week he was really poor for me today. Luca Dean, fault for 2 of the goals. Salomon Rondon, I don't want to start criticising players who haven't really been given a fair crack of the whip. I think he showed glimpses of what he can do, Rondon. he held the ball up well. I thought he was strong. You know, there were chances there where, you know, I mentioned that one early in the first half that he could have put away, and it just didn't happen for him. But what we've got to remember, he's coming from a completely different league in China. And I know he's played in the Premier League before, but it's going to take some time to get back up to speed of the Premier League. And I feel like QPR and Tuesday night will probably pose, you know, a good opportunity for him to get some minutes in, because I thought there was periods in the game where Rondon was tiring and, you know, Benitez had to make a substitution. And you know, I mentioned the substitutions there. Again, we were very limited with our options to bring on. You know, you look at Aston Villa, the quality they brought off their bench, and which essentially changed the game and gave them the 3 points, was the real turning point, I think. And you look at us and Anthony Gordon, Tom Davis, John Joe Kenny. They're not really names that are going to win your football matches and turn games around. I didn't think they were too great when they came on. Anthony Gordon, it didn't happen for him. John Joe Kenny, again, you know, I mentioned before, Godfrey leaving his men. Kenny was pretty much the same. They seem to have adopted the zonal marking approach for defending corners again. If the second goal is anything to go by, that seems to not really be working. So, like I said, it's a work in progress, and it's difficult to really pin this solely on the manager, because a lot of things were against us in this game. The injury situation, it's just, you know, we're 5 games into the season already. We've got, you know, 2 of our top scorers from the last few seasons out, our captain and our only right backs out. And now Pickford, it remains to be seen the extent of his injury as well. So that it's a concern. But, you know, we've got QPR Tuesday night in the Cup. Hopefully they can put in a good display there, get a bit of confidence back, and then of course it's back to Goodison on Saturday. It's Benitez's first defeat. You know, it still doesn't take away the positive start we've had. I feel, you know, we're 5th in the table. That probably will change after the remaining fixtures have been played. But yeah, it's a tough one to take. But what can you do when 5 of your real pivotal first team members are missing, and you've got next to no one to bring off on the bench? And, you know, Aston Villa are bringing on Leon Bailey. Obviously Bailey went off injured as well. Yeah, a difficult one to take for sure. It was always going to be a tough game, Aston Villa away, made even more difficult by the injury situation and by our lack of options in squad depth, really. And I just hope that this isn't going to become a really recurring problem that's going to hurt us this season, the injury situation. And, you know, because when on starting 11, on paper, I feel we have a pretty decent squad. But, you know, when injuries start to kick in, you can get found out, as I feel like we've seen today, because the options are very few and far between. I mean, Gabaman, again, he went missing. Where was he? I don't know what people's thoughts are on Gabaman, but he just seems to... It just doesn't seem to be happening for him at the minute. And, well, I say at the minute, for the last 2.5 years. So, and just a note on the referee today, I thought it was a really poor display from Craig Pawson. There was... The one that stood out for me was Damari Gray. You know, he was through on goal and he's blatantly being held back. And the referee doesn't give it. And there was just a few niggly ones. Tyrone Mings, again, there was a really reckless challenge. I can't remember who it was on. I think it might have been on Damari Gray. Yeah, it stood showing, and there's not even a card. And, you know, Mings, he was like this last season when we played him in the reverse fixture. He just seems to get away with it far too often for my liking, Tyrone Mings. But you know what, we got beat. We deserved to get beat. Aston Villa with a better side. That they brought on quality. We can't really facilitate that at all. We don't have them players to bring on when our first team members are absent, as we've seen today. So we've just got to hope that, you know, there's been no confirmation about the extent of Richarlison's injury, but, you know, there's a few rumblings going around that could be a few weeks. And of course, Calvert-Lewin, again, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Coleman, we don't know what's going to happen there. And Jordan Pickford, hopefully that's not too much of an issue. And just on James Rodriguez, I'm sick of it all now, to be honest. I'd rather Benitez came out and just said what the situation was, instead of each week in the press conference, you know, someone asks him about James and it's always, oh, we'll see, or he's picked up a knock, or he's not match fit, or, you know, we're going to keep an eye on him. I'd rather Benitez just came out and said what the score was. Is he here or is he not? Because, you know what, we couldn't even fill the amount of gaps that we had on the bench today. And, you know, you've got James Rodriguez there who's been he's been training, I should say, all week, and he doesn't get a look in. So something is seriously wrong there. But I'm just a bit bored of it now, to be honest. Either you play James or you don't. There's like all this beating around the bush in the press conference. It's ridiculous. I'm getting quite frustrated with it now, to be honest. But it's it is a bit mad when we talk about squad depth and how we're struggling for players when a lot of our main men get injured, and you've got James Rodriguez there, who just doesn't seem to be getting a look in at all. So it's a tough one to take. Like I said, we've got QPR Tuesday night, Norwich City on Saturday. Hopefully we can get a couple more wins before that really difficult game against Man United in a couple of weeks' time before the international break. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below. What did you make of today's game? Obviously, as I say, tough one to take, but you know what, you can't really point fingers at the manager on this one. I think we just got found out, really. The injuries killed us. We had nothing to offer really going forward when Rondon went off. Damari Gray, he was probably our biggest threat going forward. He had some half chances, but it was difficult. When there's no focal point, it is difficult. I mean, Rondon, it's still early days with him, isn't it? Hopefully he can start getting up to match fitness and the speed of the Premier League, and he can become a really useful player for us. But yeah, bad day at the office for Everton today. It's finished 3-0, and you know what, it's our first defeat of the season. It doesn't take away the positive start we've had, but we can't let this really get us down. You've got to get back on the training pitch, and we've got to find solutions to this injury crisis if it is going to be a long-term situation. And players are going to have to start stepping up, and it is what it is. But it just does seem like the injury luck just never falls our way, does it? But there you go. Match reaction for Aston Villa 3, Everton 0. Really disappointing day for Everton. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to drop the video a like. And we'll see you next time on the Toffee Blues. Thank you.